What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. I'm going to be honest, at the start of the day here, I was kind of struggling figuring out a team to use in the Go Bad League. I was trying to get some Shadow Quagsire teams. None of them seemed to work, so I just went back to a team that I knew did work from earlier on in the season. It uses Galarian Moltres, one of the newly buffed Pokemon. It has access to Fly now, one of the best moves in the game, and I think this team in general is very flexible and very fun. Let's get into the battles and see what this team can do. Let's get right on into it. Moltres as our lead into a Diggersby, a very neutral matchup. Now, while this is a ground type into a flying type Pokemon here, Quick Attack as well as Fire Punch can add up against us quite a bit over time. So if our opponent is a little bit worried about our Moltres, they likely can just stay in here and still put in quite a bit of work. In comes a move, Fire Punch will be thrown into our Moltres, but we can take two of those pretty easily. Our opponent taking a lot of faster pressure themselves, and I'm almost at 100 energy. In comes our next move here. Fire Punch will be thrown into us, putting us down into the red. But at this point, I can throw moves myself. I have Flies and Brave Birds. I'm going to go for the Fly, expecting maybe a shield here from our opponent, but maybe they're going to let this go as well. Either way, I have two Flies. I can go for the next one here, right before their next Fire Punch, and build up even more energy on our Moltres. At this point, they will likely just let this Pokemon go down. It has done a pretty decent job of whittling us down here, and now a Wigglytuff comes in and a Galarian Moltres in the back line. Looks like Shadow Drapion is going to put in quite a show here in the back. Once that Diggersby's out of the way, our opponent did not have a great answer to us here. Honestly, though, they might have been in a better spot if they stayed in Wigglytuff into our Drapion, because I know they can do a lot of damage with the Charm, whereas the Sucker Punches here are resisted. I can just shield farm through a lot of this Pokemon, outpace these Aqua Tails. Let's see if our opponent wants to shield, or at this point, if they're just going to let it go. Aqua Tail number 2 going to come through. I think it will knock out if it ends up landing. Our opponent tries to survive, but they're not quite able to. Wigglytuff comes back in. Poison Sting damage is super effective, and Aqua Tail is so spammy. We also have our very bulky Diggersby in the backline. I don't see there's much play right now for our opponent. In comes our next Aqua Tail here. This will likely draw a shield at this point, and because we can put them deep into the yellow, almost into the red, just with our Shadow Drapion at this point, Diggersby doesn't have a lot of work to do this game. All it really needs to do here is get to 2 Fire Punches and finish off this Fairy-type Pokemon. Charm is adding up a little bit. Icy Wind would be super effective, but Diggersby is way too bulky. Even if they were able to land an Icy Wind, it would not knock us out. Fire Punch is reached. Our opponent realizes not much they can do. They end up letting that move through. GG to our opponent. Next game, Moltres up against a Mandibuzz, Battle of the Flying Dark-type Pokemon. If they're on Snarl, we resist the Fast Food Pressure. If they're on Air Slash, which it looks like they are, they have a bit more Fast Food Pressure, but they reach moves just a little bit slower than they would otherwise. With that said here, the Air Slashes are adding up. Aerial Ace as well will put us into range where the next one might come close to knocking us out. I'm going to build up a bit more energy here, and then I'm going to full send a Brave Bird. Our opponent might try to call this move, and if they do, and if I can land this damage, then they're going to be in Aqua Tail range or Fire Punch range in the backline, which is going to make this Mandibuzz's life very uncomfortable later on in this match. I say swap Shadow Drapion. They do have a Diggersby in the back. That is a pretty good matchup here into us, which I don't love to see, but I know Aqua Tail is still going to be able to spam out moves very quickly into this Diggersby, and no matter what, we can get shields down, and that Mandibuzz, while it is still going to have a bit of HP and energy in the backline, is nowhere as big of a threat as it would be into our Diggersby if I didn't already land that Brave Bird. In comes a move. Is it a bait? Is it a nuke? They go for the Fire Punch bait, which while that is a good play, that is going to guarantee that they do not debuff my attack stat here. This Aqua Tail will be full force. It will likely draw a shield from them as well. And now they go on a CMP, probably a Scorching Sands this time. They could go for a very risky double bait, but it's not a guaranteed shield, so yeah, they do go for the full-on send there. They get the debuff as well. Why not? I guess that's not great for us, but I CMP on a Fire Punch. This should knock them out or draw their final shield once again. But since this was just a Fire Punch here, yeah, likely a no shield will come through from our opponent. They are one away, I believe, from an Aerial Ace. So I'm going to try to catch the move here on our Diggersby if possible, and that is exactly what we end up doing. Our opponent goes for an Aerial Ace into us. That is a very inefficient move, and in the back is a Shadow Drapion. Alright, at this point, we're in a pretty good spot here, but we know Shadow Drapion is not helpless against our Ground-type Pokemon. Aqua Tail, a very spammy move, and the Aerial Ace chip damage has put us into range where potentially 2 Aqua Tails might just be enough to knock us out. Scorching Sands coming through, a debuff would be fantastic. We don't end up getting that 30% chance here. I'm going to go for the Fire Punch. Might be a mistake, honestly. I'm not quite sure. Our opponent has not thrown any energy yet here against us. Well, they threw one move, but they're almost at back-to-back Aqua Tails. I was going to try to go for the combo play, but I was one Poison Sting away from the Aqua Tail here, meaning down goes all the energy on our Shadow Drapion. Moltres can come back in here, but I think the Aqua Tail might be enough to knock us out, but they also go for a catch on their own Mandibuzz. Fantastic counting by our opponent here. That will knock them out, and at this point, Shadow Drapion might put in some work in the backline against us. I don't love where we're at in this game. In comes the Aqua Tail, down goes our Moltres, and I mean, at this point, I have to hope that Diggersby can survive an Aqua Tail here. This is getting incredibly awkward right now. Aqua Tail being thrown, this will come very close to knocking us out. Diggersby is bulky. Is it bulky enough? It, I guess, somehow is. We survive the Aqua Tail, get the Fire Punch off, and a very sloppy endgame by me, but we were still able to close it out. GG there to our opponent. Next game, Moltres, what are we going to see? A Golisopod? All right, pretty neutral lead matchup here, especially if they're on Fury Cutter. No, actually, they're on Shadow Claw, which is a lot better for us. Every single Pokemon on this team actually resists Ghost-type damage, which is one of the best things about it here. We could take a move here any day of the week. Our opponent likely going for the Aqua Jet to chip us down deep into the yellow, and a Diggersby ends up coming in. Now, I guess I could have gone for the Brave Bird here, but either way, any sort of chip damage is helpful. Our opponent actually shields, so I guess that is the right play, just going for that attack. I try to catch a Fire Punch, but they don't quite fall for it. In comes the Scorching Sands almost certainly into us here, and I'm going to hope we don't end up getting an attack drop from this move. We avoid the debuff here ourselves. Can we get the debuff against them? That is going to be the next step to winning this matchup. I think, though, even if we don't end up debuffing them, and even if they do debuff us here in just a second, Switch is not the most important thing to me right now. We know Golisopod doesn't have a lot of play into our team, so at this point, just having a lot of energy on Shadow Drapion, as well as our Moltres, could be a good way to win this match. In comes our next Scorching Sands right before my opponent's next one. We are just going to be one quick attack ahead of them here. Scorching does end up landing. Our opponent going to send instantly. They waited a turn to make sure I did not catch on our Moltres. Good play by them. But at this point, I see a very interesting play I can make. I'm going to swap into Shadow Drapion. I'm going to shield a single time and Poison Sting this Pokemon all the way down. That's because at this point, I know they're low enough that they're not going to get more than just one move off. They might debuff us here. I'm going to hope that that 30% chance does not proc. Once again, no 30% chance here. And we see a Bastiodon end up coming in. Now, this is a little bit of a tricky Pokemon now that our Diggersby has been whittled down so much, and that Golisopod does still have some energy on it in the backline, so I always need to be worried about that Golisopod coming back in, but the best thing about this is this Bastiodon already used up a shield here this game, which means I can always land a crunch against that Golisopod as long as I have enough energy. Alcatail comes through. I think 4 of these should be enough to whittle down this Bastiodon. It's a very bulky Pokemon, but Shadow Drapion is a very offensive pick here. Very spammy, and these Smackdowns, thanks to that Smackdown nerf a few seasons back, it's making it so we can take these moves quite a bit easier. Aquatail coming through right now. Our opponent has not swapped out just yet. I'm always going to be keeping an eye out. If they ever swap, instantly throw that crunch before they can snipe us down with a move. In comes that Golisopod as we were thinking. This should knock them out. Make sure they don't get any energy off because they did have quite a bit of residual from that lead matchup here. Down goes Golisopod. If Bastiodon comes back in, I think I have another Aquatail ready to go. If it's going to be potentially the Diggersby that comes in here, I can probably just full farm down as well. In comes that Basti. We do land the move, and Shadow Drapion is potentially going to get a backline sweep. In comes that Diggersby, 2 Poison Stings knock them out. We simul KO, but we still have 2 Pokemon in the backline. GG to our opponent. Very close game. All right, next game here is not the best lead I've ever seen. A Wigglytuff. I gotta swap out instantly. Our Dark type doesn't want to take any Fairy type damage, but unfortunately for us, we are met by a Shadow Annihilate, another very bad matchup for us to see, and they throw a move. Is it going to be an Ice Punch, a close combat? No, it's just a Rage Fist, a much easier move to survive. I'm now going to go for a Scorching Sands, knowing that while I do not knock out with one, if I can reach a second one here before the next move, I might be able to knock him out. We have to get the debuff with the Scorching Sands there. Fantastic stuff. Makes it so now they're back down to neutral attack. In comes our second move. This might actually give us a shield advantage, which while not super important, it might give us a little bit of play. I would have much rather had switch advantage here, but I don't know what our opponent has in the backline. I have to imagine it's not going to be great for us, whatever it might be. In comes a close combat. We do shield it up here. We Sucker Punch them all the way down, and now likely that Wigglytuff will come back in. We do see the Fairy-type Pokemon come back. I'm going to full send the Brave Bird and hope at this point they let this move go. In comes the heavy-hitting attack. Our opponent is going to let the move through. A couple more Poison Stings end up landing. Now that Wigglytuff is very low, but a Shadow Kanto Marowak is in the backline. This is not great for us right now. This is one of the worst team comps I could have possibly seen with our own team here. Mudsap is doing a lot of damage to us. I go for the Aquatail here at the last second, but they have a lot of energy on this Pokemon. They might be able to reach 2 moves against our Moltres before we're able to farm them all the way down. In comes a charge attack here. I think my only chance to win is if they bait us with a Bone Club, and I call it. I no shield. They do Bone Club us here. Okay, hold on. There might still be a sliver of a chance for us to win this game. We shield the next attack here. We have to at this point. Our opponent does not quite have the Swift yet. They're 1 away. We Sucker Punch down. Hold on. Is there a chance? There might just be. We have the Fly ready to go. This should be enough to knock out this Marowak, somehow overcoming the worst possible team we could have even ever dreamed of facing with this lineup. Next game, Shadow Caesar. All right, very neutral lead matchup here. Although the thing is, I actually resist all of the charging pressure from this Pokemon, whereas I am also a little bit bulkier than them, so I can do a lot more damage with my fast move than they are doing to us. So I think in general, this is one of the best matchups that Moltres can see. They end up going for a Night Slash rather than a Trailblaze. I've seen a lot of Shadow Caesar opt for the Trailblaze. It's a bit harder hitting despite still being resisted, and it guarantees a boost. You can see here that our opponent going for the Night Slash is going to cost them just a little bit because now they have to throw the second move to knock us all the way out. I think at this point I could either quick attack down or poison sting down, but I feel like I'm going to get a bit more mileage out of energy on Shadow Drapion, so I poison sting down, but I do take like 40% of our HP for our effort there, which might not be that important, but maybe it will be later on. In comes a Mandibuzz in the back line. Air Slash is going to once again be the fast move of choice, which means that now our HP is getting shredded through even quicker than it was before. Our Shadow Drapion is getting pretty low. I don't know if I want to completely rely on our Diggersby in the backline to win us this game. They've been kind of weak to it so far. I mean, I guess Shadow Caesar is not necessarily weak to Diggersby, but Fire Punch being able to one-shot them generally means that you see water types in the back. If there is a water type or a ghost type, like potentially a Jellicent or a Dusclops, then I need to keep our Shadow Drapion around. Try to catch a move doesn't quite work out, but for some reason they're still staying in this matchup. They must not have a great answer to our Diggersby, which is fine by me at this point. I can go for another move here in just a second, but our opponent is still staying in. Foul Play and Air Slash is not doing too much damage to us here, but it is slowly chipping us down into the range where I know I need to start knocking out this Pokemon if I can. Fire Punch being thrown, it does put them into a potential quick attack farm down range. I have a lot of energy on Shadow Drapion, nearly 100 energy on Diggersby as well. Whatever's in the back does not want to see that. GG there to our opponent. Next matchup, Moltres into Mandibuzz. We've seen this earlier today, a very neutral situation. Let's see the fast move. It seems like Air Slash is just kind of the way to go with Mandibuzz in this day and age. A lot more fast move pressure against opposing Dark-type Pokemon, especially like Pokemon like my Mandibuzz here, or my Galarian Moltres, that is. And Aerial Ace, while it's not the most efficient move, is still able to two-shot us over time thanks to the added fast move pressure of this attack. In comes our Brave Bird once again, and they swap at the same time that I do. Honestly, a little bit of a tricky situation to be in. I thought that they would stay in, and I could get a bit of an energy lead here with our Shadow Drapion, but they made a nice play, realizing that after I debuffed my stats there, that I would almost certainly go for the swap out after. But with that said, our opponent does not throw any energy against us before we get to a second move. We actually draw both shields here with our Shadow Drapion. I think Diggersby can come in now, shield up these moves from the Shadow Drapion, or Shadow Caesar. I'm saying all the wrong names right now. The Shadow Trailblaze would come through and do quite a bit of damage to us here. And while the quick attacks don't do a lot, we have Fire Punch ready to go here in just a second. We can do quite a bit of work, but it depends on if our opponent wants to catch our move or not, which could make it a little bit more awkward. We're just going to full send the move as quickly as we can, make them either catch or get knocked out in one hit. In comes a Fire Punch, and down goes the Shadow Caesar. In the backline, though, it's going to be a Cradilly, and I swapped a little bit too late here. I don't know if we can outpace the fly, and even if we could, our opponent is going to make a fantastic catch on their Mandibuzz. I'm going to undercharge, hoping that I can maybe go for a Sucker Punch down, get some energy back. Our opponent, though, is able to knock us out, unfortunately, and this is like the worst health range they could be in. If I was able to get a bit more energy on our Diggersby, maybe I could go for 2 Scorching Sands against that Cradilly. Maybe I'd have like a debuff chance to win this game, or maybe 2 Scorchings could just be enough to KO, but because I don't get enough energy from that farm down, now we're in a spot where 2 Grass Knots likely will knock us out. Honestly, even with a debuff, I'm pretty sure we do still lose this game, so the only chance we'd have is if 2 Scorching Sands would even be enough to knock them out here. Honestly, even then, I don't think they would be. It would be really close, but I don't think even if we had the energy, it would be enough. Well played by our opponent, though. Catching that fly was a fantastic play. Down goes our Diggersby, and, sometimes you just get outplayed. Next game is a Galarian Moltres into Shadow Cacturne. I guess we both do resisted Sucker Punch damage, but I have 2 Pokemon that are a little bit better at handling this Pokemon in the backline. So I'm going to instantly swap out here to our Shadow Drapion. We are met by a Tentacruel that is, I think, running Acid as their fast move. Let's see, I didn't quite see there. Yeah, that looks like Acid, which means that they're not quite as spammy as they could be, but their fast move pressure is going to add up against us just a little bit quicker than a move like Poison Sting would. Scald is going to come through, no debuff, which is fantastic to see here, and I shield up that first attack, knowing that the longer this goes, the more I can outpace this Pokemon. We're already at another crunch here on CMP with the next Scald. I'm 5 away from my next move. They are 6 away from their next move, and I'm almost at back-to-back, or I will be after those 5 more Poison Stings. So if I shield this up, I can outpace them, and, well, we are in a good spot here. The main reason that I'm going for these shields is not necessarily to knock out this Tentacruel or win switch advantage. I just want shields down. And, well, okay, I didn't even realize they caught that move on their Shadow Cacturne. Resisted damage, by the way, nearly one-shotting them there. That Pokemon is so squishy. I have almost 2 crunches ready to go. Tentacruel is close to a move at this point, but they come in with their final Pokemon, a Water Gun Lantern. What a crazy team from our opponent so far here, but they are in like the 2800s. They are very high up on the leaderboard right now, so must be working out for them. Crunch number 2 being thrown. This should get a knockout after that defense drop, or I guess a shield is just as fine for me. But I can see a bit of an awkward situation to be in right now. It's a Water Gun Lantern. They have electric type damage as well for our Moltres. And if they can here, they might be able to swap out, go for the combo play with a Scald on that Tentacruel, which is exactly what they end up doing. And if they get another Scald into us here with this Tentacruel into our Galarian Moltres, there's a chance that that Lantern can finish off the job. But with that said, they are 6 away. 6 Sucker Punches is all it takes to knock out this Tentacruel. Probably going to see that Lantern come back in, and while Brave Bird is resisted, it is still a fantastic move. Sucker Punch is neutral into them, and they're not out of move just yet. Brave Bird comes through and knocks him out straight up from that range. GG to our opponent. Very creative team. Glad I was able to win it. Next game, Jump Fluff. All right, not the worst lead matchup, but honestly, I don't really like playing this out as the Galarian Moltres. The main reason being that the longer this goes on, the better it is for the Jump Fluff. The Fairy Wind damage adds up into us, and in the 2-shield matchup, they just straight up outpace us, even if they go straight Acrobatics to our Flies, because it's, I believe, 767 for Fly, and it's 766 straight Acrobatics, that is. So it's kind of awkward here, where I am a Flying-type Pokemon, but I'm going to lose to the Grass-type the longer it goes on. I do reach another Fly here. I win CMP if they would have thrown the move, but they did not throw, I don't think, quite yet. So what I'm going to do instead is catch the move here if I can on our Diggersby, realizing that since they are on Acrobatics, I mean, they could be on double nuke, but they could also just be on double flying, which if that's the case, Diggersby's not that bad here. Our opponent, though, makes a fantastic play where they build up way too much energy here. They have almost 100 energy on that Jump Fluff, and they come in with a Lapras here, which is not amazing for us to see. So the worst thing about this at this point is, unless I get a debuff here, this Lapras is going to do a lot of damage to our backline as well. And with the amount of energy that they still have left over on that Jump Fluff, I can't really shield anything from this Lapras. Acrobatics would do a lot more damage than an Ice Beam or a Sparkling Aria here. Our opponent goes for a move. What's it going to be? Probably a Sparkling coming through. Or, okay, an Ice Beam, I guess. That kind of surprising to me there. I figured that Sparkling would be enough. Maybe they thought they got debuffed. I don't think I debuffed them, though. Another move coming through. I can't shield, right? We have so much energy, or they have so much energy, rather, on that Jump Fluff here. And I'm going to swap out instantly into our Galarian Moltres, hoping at this point that we can outpace and Brave Bird something. Unfortunately, it's one of the quickest Pokemon in the game, the Shadow Drapion. So I'm forced into shielding. I need to keep some HP around if I can here. But the biggest problem is they're not in range where a Fly would quite knock them out. I have to debuff myself here with the Brave Bird. If I could have gone for the Fly to KO there, then I would have forced him to go for an Acrobatics into us to knock us out with that Jump Fluff. But because I Brave Bird now, an Ace is all it takes to knock out my Moltres. That means if they have 100 energy, which I think they just might, then they can Aerial Ace us here, go for the Acrobatics right before my Crunch, and knock out our Shadow Drapion. Super close match here. Our opponent played fantastically, though. GG to our opponent, and that's just proving my Jump Fluff is still a very good pick in this meta. Next game, Moltres into Shadow Pidgeot. All right, this is a pretty neutral matchup here. Our whole team has played into this Pokemon, but we also know that potentially our Diggersby would not want to be in there saying I have to throw Fire Punches into them. But even still, look how squishy this Pokemon is, right? Sucker Punch is doing a lot of damage to them. They're going for an Air Cutter instantly. Moltres is not that squishy. I can no-shield the move here pretty easily and still have a lot of HP remaining. I get a shield advantage likely with this Fly coming through, and Shadow Drapion on this safe swap should be able to either get another shield from this, or I guess in the backline up a shield. It's not that bad into Shadow Quagsire. Crunch comes through. Our opponent likely cannot shield this at this point, saying they're already down a single shield in this game. And while Mudshot is super effective, it's not a Mud Slapper, right? So the longer this goes on, it's not like they can really farm us down. I just outpace to the next Aqua Tail if I shield this up, so I can make their life very uncomfortable, where either they have to shield this attack here, or if they do let it go, then Shadow Drapion still has quite a bit of energy for the backline. Aqua Tail does get a shield by the Shadow Quagsire. I don't think it's really even worth a shield at this point. I have two Pokemon that, with shield advantage, can put in quite a bit of work against what I normally see on teams that have Pidgeot. I wasn't expecting a Belly Bolt here, honestly. I was expecting another ground type. But either way, fantastic Pokemon for a Diggersby to see. Scorching Sands should come through. No defense boost by them just yet, which means now it's going to do a lot more damage. Make a very easy quick attack down. Not only that, but we get the 30% attack debuff there. Our opponent built up a lot of energy. I guess this could be a Zap Cannon, but even after that debuff, like especially after the debuff, rather, it's not going to do anything to us here. They also get that 1 in 3 chance of the debuff against us, but we still quick attack all the way down. Have almost 100 energy here. Pidgeot tries to come in, but I think 2 Fire Punches, despite that attack drop against us, will still be more than enough to whittle them down. First one comes through, and comes a charge attack here from them. But at this point, Diggersby can still shield this up, and I think the Quagsire is pretty energy dry. We can go for a Fire Punch here, a Fire Punch against that Quagsire, and even if somehow we go down here with our Diggersby, we have our Moltres that's not going to get farmed down by the Ground-type Fast move. Fire Punch coming through here in just a second. Shadow Quagsire might survive this. We're at -1 attack still, but if it doesn't, then our Diggersby kind of just did an endgame sweep here. Love to see it. GG there to our opponent. So yeah, with that, we were able to kind of salvage the day. I think we went like 14 wins and 16 losses throughout the day here. Not the best day in my Go Battle League career, but when I swapped over to this team, I went 8-2, I believe. So able to do a little bit of recovery on our elo. But with that record, what did I say? 14-16, we dropped 80 points, which I think that might be a bit excessive here, saying that's like just a 1 win difference between going even on the day. So I think at this point, this is just my go-to team when I need something that I just know works and is hard meta and is very flexible. It was a lot of fun to use today, and it was able to at least give me a couple good games to showcase here on the channel. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.